Pep Guardiola is so good he has to watch his back. His life might be in danger. I mean, he is the only coach in football history to have ever won 2 European trebles, and he did it with 2 different clubs in 2 different countries and in 2 different decades. Of course, he's bound to have haters, loads of them. See, people hate Pep for different reasons, and the hatred usually runs so deep that it makes them say all sorts about him. One player even accused him of being racist. We'll get to that later, but let's start with Samuel Eto'o. This guy smiles with everyone, but not Pep. Why though? I mean, Eto'o led the line when Barcelona won the European treble in 2009. How come he hated the coach? The reason is simple. Pep loved Messi more than everybody else and gave the Argentine all his attention. That alone got Eto'o so pissed. Here's what he said. You can ask Xavi, Iniesta, and all the others. That was my era. It was me that made Barcelona win. I told Guardiola, you better apologize to me because I'm the one bringing the wins to Barcelona, not Lionel Messi. He even dissed Pep by telling him that he wasn't such a good player when he played. The beef got so heated that Pep swapped Eto'o for Zlatan Ibrahimovic after just 1 season. Pep didn't know he was going out of the frying pan into fire. It's no secret that Zlatan and Guardiola didn't exactly hit it off after the Swede joined Barcelona in 2009. Initially, things seemed rosy, but the good times didn't last. Pep changed tactics mid-season and started using Messi in the false 9 position, which meant that Zlatan was no longer important. Oh, Zlatan, you know. Damn, that was where the beef really started. But when did it blow over? After Barca got knocked out of the Champions League that season. It was Zlatan's former club, Inter Milan, that sent Barcelona backing. And after the game, the striker exploded. Zlatan himself recounted the incident in an interview later, saying, Guardiola started his philosopher thing. I was barely listening. Why would I? It was advanced. Guardiola was staring at me and I lost it. I thought, there is my enemy. Scratching his bald head, I yelled, you haven't got any balls. And worse than that, I added, you can go to hell. I completely lost it. And you might have expected Guardiola to say a few words in response, but he's a spineless coward. Zlatan even went further to compare Pep to Jose Mourinho, the man who just crushed his dream of winning the Champions League in back-to-back seasons. He said, Jose Mourinho is Guardiola's opposite. If Mourinho brightens up the room, Guardiola pulls down the curtain. And I guess that Guardiola now tried to measure himself with Mourinho. Damn, that must have really hurt. You know what makes this even crazier? When Zlatan even tried to say something positive about Pep, he ended up dropping an even bigger bombshell. Listen to his words. As it is now, I wouldn't work with him again. And it doesn't mean that I think he's a bad coach, because when I got to vote, I said he was the best coach in the world. As a coach, he was fantastic. As a person, he's not a man. Ouch! At least Pep and Zlatan never worked together again. But this next guy has such a weird relationship with Pep, they couldn't avoid each other. The beef between both these men goes so far back to the 2000s, and it's so deep that this guy accused Pep of being racist. Oh yes, of course, you already know I'm talking about Yaya Touré. Yaya moved back to Barcelona in 2007 and immediately earned a place in the starting lineup. Initially, things were great for him under Frank Rijkaard, and he looked like he would go on to be a legend just like his midfield partners Xavi and Iniesta. But everything changed when Pep Guardiola was hired in 2008. Slowly, the Ivorian maestro found himself spending less time on the pitch, with Guardiola favoring the younger Sergio Busquets, who he had promoted from the youth team immediately after he was hired. After enduring 2 challenging years with Guardiola, Yaya Touré finally reached his breaking point, and when an opportunity to leave Catalonia presented itself, he took it. Man City made an offer for him in 2010, and he signed a 5-year deal with them ASAP. But Yaya made sure to say how he felt. He said, if he had just talked to me, I would have stayed in Barcelona. But he didn't believe in me. Those were the words of a broken man. But little did he know that this was just the beginning of his Pep nightmares. Choosing a new path turned out to be the right move for Yaya, as he quickly rose to glory at Manchester City, leading the team to multiple titles. However, fate had its own plan. A few years later, Guardiola too found himself at Manchester City. This was a chance for the two men to start afresh on a clean slate and build a better relationship, right? Wrong! Guardiola started out by acknowledging Yaya's past accomplishments. You know, praising his talent, assuring everyone that he counted on him, all of that. But of course, the friendliness didn't last long. Pep had flown from Barcelona to Manchester with the beef in his briefcase, and it started out with murmurs of Yaya's weight issues floating around. Pep came out and tried to clear the air, but you could tell that there was a lot of tension between player and coach, and our suspicions were soon proven right. Not so long after, Yaya found himself relegated to the bench. But despite everything, Dante decided to take a different path than the one Zlatan chose. Here's what the Ivorian midfielder had to say about the whole situation. "I wondered what else I could do when the coach no longer wanted to play me. Week after week, I struggled to manage my frustration, questioning how I could maintain such self-control. Nevertheless, I remained exemplary in training and never voiced my disagreements with the coach in the locker room." In the span of 2 seasons after Pep was hired, Yaya played a mere 48 games. At this point, there was no saving the relationship. It was completely broken and destroyed. This time though, Yaya refused to remain silent. Listen to what he said. "He was cruel to me. At times, I even questioned if it had anything to do with the color of my skin. Some people in Barcelona had the same question. Perhaps we Africans weren't always treated like everyone else." Whoa, that was a huge statement. And as a result of this whole beef, there was a huge thing about Yaya having placed a curse on Pep that he would never win the Champions League again. But Yaya has since come out to say that he has moved past the whole situation and he cleared the air that he actually never placed any such curse on the manager. It was just some BS cooked up by his former agent with whom he had since cut ties. These days, Dante is doing his thing as an academy coach at Spurs, so maybe we could see him go head-to-head with Pep on the touchline sometime soon. But speaking of managers, there's one former Spurs manager who hates Pep. In fact, he probably wishes the Spaniard never even existed. Yes, I'm talking about Jose Mourinho. Now, this beef also goes all the way back to the 2000s. Mourinho's dream was to one day manage Barcelona, and as he gained popularity with his exploits at Porto and Chelsea, he came closer to that dream. Finally, the opportunity came for Mourinho to achieve his dream when Barca were in the market for a new manager in the summer of 2008. But there came Pep. Despite Jose's brilliant record for Porto and Chelsea, Barcelona decided to give the job to an inexperienced Pep Guardiola, leaving Mourinho super angry. Since that snub, Mourinho has hated Pep, and as top managers in the game, they've continued to clash on the touchline. In 2010, Mourinho moved to Real Madrid, and the Clásico rivalry naturally fueled their hatred for each other, which burned for 2 hot years. Fast forward to 2016, both men found themselves on either side of Manchester, and they continued the rivalry there. Even though Mourinho has gone on to enjoy fame and success with different clubs, it seems he'll always still hate Pep Guardiola for taking his dream away from him in 2008. But Mo is surely not the only person who hates Pep for ruining their dream. Dante does too. The Brazilian center-back joined Bayern in 2012, and in his first season, he helped them win the European treble. He was untouchable, or so we thought. Pep was hired as Bayern coach in 2013, and in his first game in charge, Dante scored an own goal against his former club. And boom, that was it. He was done. No second chances in Pep's kingdom, so just like that, Dante was out of the team. Dante was pissed. He said, "As a player, you don't know where you stand. Some coaches are world-class from a tactical point of view, but aren't good on a human level. And this is the case with Guardiola." Do these guys who hate Guardiola have a point? What do you think? Also, who else do you think hates Pep Guardiola? Drop names in the comments.